In 2042, humanity is dying from hunger and disease. The few survivors are among the colonists who are heading to new planets. Noah and his girlfriend Haley are trying to get on the last ship that is supposed to fly to New Earth. However, the girl is separated from the guy at the checkpoint. She tries to return to Earth, but she is sent to the cryozone. At this time, Admiral Adams appears in front of people, who congratulates everyone on their rescue. 41 shuttles left for New Earth before them, and in 6 months they will also get there. Haley meets Noah, and it turns out that the woman is pregnant. She is taken away from Noah since she is the Admiral's daughter. The guy tries to meet his future father-in-law, but the man does not want to know him. Later, Haley is preparing to go into cryosleep, and Noah must begin his duties as a cleaner. The passengers, captain, and part of the crew go into suspended animation, leaving the ship under the control of the Chief of Security, Stanley, and several assistants. Before the quantum jump, they all sit in a special chair. Suddenly, one of the men approaches Noah and demands that he vacate his chair. He has to move, then the system turns on hyperspeed. But during this time, 30 years have passed on Earth, which means that almost everyone they knew has died. Later, the awakened people go to dinner. The conversation is interrupted by the appearance of guards who detained a stowaway. Stanley rudely reminds that there is no place for such people on the ship. Noah goes to his cabin, where his neighbor is Clay. While the engineer is resting before the start of the shift, the guy goes to the cryozone and tells the sleeping Haley about his first day at work. He is distracted from his dreams by a hologram of Clay, who scolds Noah for being late. The man runs to the canteen, where he begins cleaning. After the shift, the guy notices a couple of men carrying explosive substances somewhere. At this time, Stanley hears an alert about an attempt to penetrate the reactor. He inspects the corridor, but finds no one. The man meets Noah and asks the guy to watch for those who want to harm the ship. At this time, the mechanic Shady comes to the cabin and settles down to rest. He drinks and puts the bottle on the floor, but it falls and immediately something similar to a slug penetrates the bottle. The man does not notice the creature and continues to drink. Meanwhile, Noah finds a cleaner, but accidentally drops it and is amazed by its active power, which corrodes the steel shelf. Shady spends time with Blue. Suddenly, he feels bad, after which the man's body literally flies apart and the creature penetrates Blue's body. At this time, Noah tries to report to Clay about the end of the work, but cannot find him anywhere. He goes around the ship and sees an engineer pouring a cleaning agent into some vat. He notices the janitor and accuses him of spying. The guy runs away and meets Clay's replacement. Noah tells him that the man is making a bomb, but he grabs the guy and takes him to a utility room where several more team members come. They handcuff the janitor and order him to open his mouth to pour the substance that is being prepared in the vat into him. Noah asks to let him go and then begins to threaten that Stanley will quickly be able to identify the rebels. After which, one of the women pours moonshine into his mouth. It turns out that the people were just making drinks and not a bomb. Later, the staff throws a party, which Stanley and his assistant Tick watch through a camera. At this time, Medic Ortega leaves the party to meet Blue. She finds him alone. Suddenly, Blue pounces on the woman and finishes her off. At this time, Clay finds Noah at the computer, where he is rewriting his assignment to another profession. The engineer immediately realizes that the guy's an imposter because he works great with the equipment and doesn't know how to clean it all. He has to admit that his family is the Admiral's daughter and their future child. But then people find a blood stain at the site of Shady's death. Stanley accuses Blue of murder. Everything points to death from decompression, but if there had been a breach in the ship, everyone would have died. Then people begin to examine the ship, and after a while, Clay finds Ortega with a fractured skull and again points to Blue's guilt. After a while, Noah discovers the man at the Admiral's cabin with a cutter in his hands. The guards arrive and try to stop him, but he attacks the crew. Stanley and Tick have to destroy him. They watch the footage from the video cameras and find the moment of Shady's death. Clay and Noah are locked in their cabin. The engineer demands to open the door, and immediately an armed Stanley comes for them. The medic reports that Blue has no organs inside, but there is unknown DNA indicating that he is no longer human. Apparently, he caught a parasite that uses a person as a suit. Only a stowaway, which is Noah, could have smuggled it in. Stanley insists on the stowaway's guilt, but at that moment, the corpses controlled by alien creatures get up and attack people. Stanley dies during the fight. Clay, Noah, Chambers, and Tick fight their way to the armory. At that moment, a warning sounds that someone is opening the doors, and only Stanley can do this. His body is now also under the control of parasites. After a while, zombies appear on the threshold of the armory, and the people open fire. The engineer uses a flamethrower which activates fire-extinguishing devices which impairs visibility. It seems that the infected are gone, but suddenly one of them grabs Tick and drags him into the fog. Clay goes after them, and when they return, one of the survivors suggests using the escape pods. But the people do not accept this idea because they still have hope. Then the man decides to save himself alone. But after detaching the emergency pod, he learns that one of the dead was waiting for him inside. Meanwhile, the survivors lock themselves in the armory. Noah suggests getting to the Admiral's cabin through the ventilation shaft, and Clay approves this plan. The guy makes his way through the pipe while Clay directs him. Suddenly, Tick admits that he was the one who brought the parasite onto the ship. Noah gets into the Admiral's cabin and wakes him up. Tick claims that people are not worthy of life. He admits that the parasite was obtained as a result of experiments and existed before the universe itself. The Admiral raises the rest of the team. He tells Noah that Clay was a military man but was discharged, and Noah admits that he is Haley's boyfriend and the father of her unborn child. The Admiral points a gun at him, but he reminds that everyone is needed now. The captain and his fighters meet a group of infected, led by Stanley. The rest break down the door to the armory and the battle begins. Tick dies, but the captain's men help Clay and Chambers get out of the trap. However, even laser weapons cannot stop the enemies. Dead Blue chases Noah, who pours a cleaning agent on the zombie that dissolves the enemy. He returns to the surviving members of the team, and together with them sees how the captain, surrounded by the living dead, detonates a grenade, destroying everyone around. But after a while, body parts scattered everywhere begin to gather in a heap and form new creatures. Noah the guy says that the cleaning agent kills parasites. People rush to Clay's moonshine base where there is still acid. Clay reworks the flamethrowers to shoot cleaning agent at enemies. But suddenly the ship starts shaking. It turns out that the zombies have gained access to the reactor compartment and are now increasing its power to fly faster to the new home of the Earthlings. 3 of the people go out to the infected and start pouring cleaning agent on them. Then they notice that the zombies are waking up the rest of the passengers to use them as fuel. Noah goes to save his girlfriend. Clay and Chambers are trying to stop the dead in the reactor. The man manages to free his beloved. Together, they return back to the survivors. The engineer orders them to break through to the escape pod when a monstrous creature comes out against the people. Even the new weapon does not take down this monster. Chambers and Clay fall under the blows. Noah and Haley run to the pod. The girl gets inside, but to start it, they need to confirm readiness on the remote control located on the opposite wall of the hangar. The path to the remote control is blocked by a monster. Noah attacks it unsuccessfully and then sets off the fire suppression system. In the fog, he confirms the launch and runs to Haley. Before takeoff, Clay suddenly contacts them, saying that he set the reactor to self-destruct so that the parasites wouldn't reach the human planet. The capsule flies off and the ship explodes. Survivors land on the new Earth. They get out and see the girl. But when she gets closer, it becomes clear that the parasites have already taken over the planet. In the background, a giant monster is fighting the aircraft. Haley is horrified and doesn't know what to do now. Noah suggests burning every monster and prepares a flamethrower.